The cabin lights dimmed to a soft gold glow as passengers shuffled into their seats. It was a typical afternoon flight from Atlanta to Los Angeles, but no one knew this trip would soon go viral for all the wrong reasons. Near the front row, a black pregnant woman named Danielle Carter adjusted her seatbelt carefully. She was about 7 months along, dressed in a plain gray maternity dress and white sneakers. Her hair was tied back in a simple bun, her expression calm but tired. She carried a soft smile, the kind that said she didn't like trouble. Across the aisle stood Marcy, the flight attendant, mid-30s, polished, and known among her co-workers for her sharp tongue. She prided herself on reading passengers before they even spoke. And the moment her eyes landed on Danielle, she'd already made up her mind. Marcy folded her arms. "Ma'am, this section is first class," she said crisply. "Coach is toward the back." Danielle looked up, surprised. I know. My ticket says 2A. Marcy's eyes narrowed. "Are you sure? Maybe you read it wrong." A few nearby passengers began to glance over. Danielle hesitated, then pulled her boarding pass from her purse and handed it over. Marcy scanned it and froze. "First class, seat 2A, perfectly valid." She muttered, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "All right, ma'am. Just checking." But as she turned away, she rolled her eyes. Danielle caught it. She took a quiet breath. She could have spoken up. She could have demanded respect. But she didn't. Not yet. As the plane took off, Danielle settled in her seat. Her baby kicked softly. She smiled faintly and whispered, "Easy now, little one. Almost home." Meanwhile, Marcy was at the galley, gossiping with another attendant. "You should have seen her," she whispered. "Probably got that seat from some sympathy program. You can always tell." They both laughed softly, until a tall man in a navy suit appeared beside them. It was the captain. "Marcy," he said in a low tone, "you're being requested in first class." "By who?" she asked. "The passenger in 2A. Marcy blinked. "Her." He didn't answer. He just gave her a look and walked away. When she arrived, Danielle was still seated, calm as ever. But beside her now stood a man she hadn't seen before, a tall, dark-skinned gentleman with a quiet authority about him. Sharp features, deep voice, perfectly pressed suit. "Is there a problem, sweetheart?" he asked Danielle softly. Marcy's mouth went dry. Danielle turned slightly toward him and smiled. "No problem, honey. Just a misunderstanding." The man looked at Marcy. "Misunderstanding?" His tone was calm, but it carried weight. Marcy stammered. I just thought she..." He raised his hand slightly. "You thought wrong." Before Marcy could reply, the captain reappeared, this time with a nervous expression. "Sir, my apologies," he said quickly. "We didn't realize you'd boarded already." Every nearby passenger stared. Marcy frowned in confusion. "Wait, realize who boarded?" The captain cleared his throat. "This is Mr. Ethan Carter, chairman of Horizon Air." Silence. A long, heavy silence. Marcy's face went pale. She could feel every eye on her. Ethan turned toward Danielle. "You okay, love?" "I'm fine," Danielle said gently. "Let's just enjoy the flight." Ethan nodded, but his gaze stayed fixed on Marcy for a few seconds longer. Long enough for her to understand what she had done. The rest of the flight was painfully quiet. Marcy avoided Danielle's aisle entirely. When they landed, Ethan and Danielle were the first to leave. As Danielle passed, she looked at Marcy, her expression soft but firm. "You don't know people's stories," she said quietly. "You only see what you choose to see." Then she walked away. Marcy stood frozen in the aisle, her heart thudding. The passengers behind her murmured as they passed, some shaking their heads. And when she finally stepped off the plane, she knew something had shifted. She didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. When the video of the incident hit social media, it spread faster than anyone could imagine. Clips of Marcy pointing her manicured finger at a pregnant woman, her voice dripping with arrogance, were shared thousands of times. At first, she tried to defend herself online, typing long comments, trying to explain that she was just doing her job. But the internet doesn't listen when the evidence is clear. Soon, her name trended. Her airline uniform became a meme. And by the time she woke up the next morning, her manager had already called. Her voice trembled as she answered the phone. "Marcy, I need you to come in. We have to talk." Her stomach sank. She already knew. In the HR office, the air felt heavy. Her manager avoided her eyes as he slid a printed report across the table. It showed screenshots, quotes from passengers, and the official statement from the woman she had mocked, Danielle Carter. We take reports like this seriously, Marcy. Especially when it involves discrimination, the manager said quietly. You've been one of our best attendants for years, but this has gone too far. Marcy's throat tightened. She wanted to explain, to say she was just tired that day, that she didn't mean it that way, but deep down, she knew she did. She had looked at that woman and judged her because of her skin color, because of her clothes, because she looked out of place. There was no excuse for that. Am I fired? She whispered. No, the manager sighed. Suspended. Without pay. Pending review. The sound of that word, suspended, echoed in her head all the way home. For the first time in years, she didn't put on her navy blue uniform the next morning. Instead, she sat by her window, staring out at the gray sky. Her phone buzzed with messages, some from coworkers who felt sorry for her, others from strangers who called her a racist. She read every word, and every one of them burned. Days turned into weeks. Bills started piling up, and the silence in her apartment grew heavier with every sunrise. Her friends stopped calling. People she once laughed with in the crew lounge crossed the street to avoid her at the grocery store. And the worst part, she kept replaying that moment in her head. The way Danielle had stayed calm, even when humiliated. The way she had said, I don't want her to lose her job. Why? Why would she say that? One rainy afternoon, Marcy finally decided to leave the apartment. She walked down to a small cafe near the airport, a place she used to visit after long flights. The waitress recognized her, not from friendship, but from the internet. Her smile faltered. You're that flight attendant, right? Marcy froze. She nodded. Yeah. The waitress gave a polite nod, but her eyes said something else. Disappointment, maybe pity. Marcy sat down and ordered coffee she couldn't really afford. And while she stirred the sugar, she overheard a couple at the next table. They were watching a video on their phone. Her video. It's crazy how people still act like this, one of them said. And that woman she insulted, turns out her husband owns the airline. Can you imagine? Marcy's hands trembled. Her stomach turned cold. She hadn't known. She hadn't known who Danielle was. She thought she was just a random passenger, a struggling pregnant woman who didn't deserve first class. But now, everything made sense. The quiet confidence, the way the captain himself had come to speak to her afterward. Her husband owned the airline, and Marcy had mocked the owner's wife. She pressed her fingers to her forehead, trying to steady her breathing. That mistake wasn't just cruel, it was career-ending. A few days later, Marcy received a formal letter. Not from her manager, but from the airline's corporate office. Her suspension had been extended indefinitely. She read the words over and over until they blurred through her tears. That night, she didn't sleep. Instead, she sat on her couch, scrolling through pictures from her flying days, smiling selfies with passengers, sunsets from 30,000 feet, crew parties where she laughed without a care. She'd always thought being a flight attendant made her better than others. She had power, or at least that's what she told herself. But now she saw the truth. Power means nothing when kindness is missing. Weeks later, something unexpected happened. An envelope slid through her mail slot. No return address. Inside was a small note written in neat cursive. Everyone deserves a second chance. DC. Along with the note was a brochure, Hearts and Hands Foundation. Volunteer with expectant mothers in need. Marcy sat there, staring at the paper. Danielle. It had to be Danielle. For a long time, she didn't move. Then she picked up her phone. She signed up. The following week, Marcy walked into a community center downtown. The smell of baby lotion and coffee filled the air. Around her, pregnant women sat in small groups, folding baby clothes and sharing stories. A cheerful woman with curly hair approached her. Hi there. You must be Marcy. Danielle told me you'd be joining us. Marcy froze. Danielle? She told you about me? The woman smiled warmly. She didn't say much. Just that you had a good heart, and that people sometimes forget to show it. Marcy swallowed hard. She didn't know whether to cry or leave. But she stayed. Days turned into weeks again. And for the first time in a long while, Marcy started to feel human. She helped organize donations, folded baby blankets, and listened to women share their struggles. Stories of being ignored, judged, or dismissed because of their race, their clothes, or their situation. Each story hit her like a mirror. One day, while helping restock shelves, she found herself talking to a young mother-to-be named Kiera. She was about Danielle's age, glowing but clearly exhausted. People look at me and think I'm dumb, Kiera said, folding a onesie. They think I don't belong in the nice places. Like I can't afford to be treated with respect. Marcy's throat tightened. I used to be one of those people, she admitted quietly. But I'm trying to change. Kiera smiled faintly. That's all that matters. Changing. A month later, while helping at a charity event, Marcy saw a familiar figure across the room. Danielle. She was radiant, her baby bump gone now, holding a tiny infant in her arms. Her husband, Ethan, stood beside her, calm, confident, the kind of presence that filled a room without saying a word. Marcy froze in place, unsure what to do. She wanted to run, to hide, to disappear. But Danielle saw her, and instead of turning away, she smiled. A real smile. She walked over slowly, her eyes soft. Marcy, she said gently. I'm glad you came. Marcy's voice trembled. Danielle, I don't even know where to begin. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve how I treated you. No one does. Danielle shifted her baby slightly, her tone calm and kind. I know, but you showed up here. You're helping. That says something. Tears welled up in Marcy's eyes. You should hate me. I don't, Danielle said. I just hope you never forget what it feels like to be judged before someone even knows your story. Marcy nodded, tears falling freely now. I won't. In that moment, something broke inside Marcy. Not in a painful way, but like a wall crumbling. For the first time, she didn't feel like a disgraced flight attendant or a victim of cancel culture. She felt like a human being, one who had made a terrible mistake, but was being given a chance to grow. Ethan stepped forward then, his voice deep but calm. Marcy, he said, I spoke with the airline. I told them about the work you've been doing here. Her eyes widened. You what? You're being reinstated, he said with a small smile. Probation period, of course. But Danielle wanted you to have another chance. Marcy covered her mouth, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Just say you'll keep learning, Danielle said softly. Marcy nodded through her tears. I will. I promise. When she returned to the skies weeks later, Marcy was a different person. She smiled at every passenger. Not the fake kind of smile she used to wear, but one that came from somewhere real. She noticed things now, like the nervous mother juggling a baby bag, or the quiet man who avoided eye contact because he didn't feel he belonged in first class. She went out of her way to help them. And sometimes, when she walked down the aisle, she'd hear whispers. Isn't that the flight attendant from that viral video? But she didn't flinch. She'd smile and keep walking, because she knew her story wasn't about the shame anymore. It was about what came after. Life has a strange way of humbling us. Sometimes the universe doesn't punish us to destroy us. It humbles us to rebuild us. Marcy's story became more than a scandal. It became a lesson that no job, no title, no uniform gives you the right to look down on anyone. Because respect, true respect, is not about status. It's about heart. And that pregnant woman she once mocked? She wasn't just the wife of a powerful man. She was the mirror that showed Marcy who she really was, and who she could still become. Months had passed since Marcy met Danielle again. The forgiveness she received that day had changed something deep inside her. She no longer rushed to judge people, no longer let her frustrations dictate how she treated others. Still, a part of her wondered if she truly deserved that kindness. She had gone back to work quietly, avoiding attention. The airline, under Ethan's ownership, hadn't fired her. Not because she was special, but because Danielle had requested mercy on her behalf. It was something Marcy never forgot. Now, it was a cloudy Friday morning. The airport buzzed like usual, rolling suitcases, crying babies, loud announcements. Marcy pinned on her name tag, straightened her uniform, and took a deep breath before heading toward Gate 47. Today's flight was from New York to Los Angeles. A long one, a full flight. But what she didn't know, what no one could have known, was that this would be the flight that tested everything she had learned about grace, empathy, and humanity. Marcy greeted passengers as they boarded, smiling gently at everyone who passed. She made a conscious effort to notice little details. An elderly man walking slowly, a young boy holding his toy airplane tightly, a woman trying to manage a toddler and a stroller at the same time. She helped them all with genuine care, not out of duty, but out of heart. Her co-workers noticed. You've changed a lot, Marcy, one of them said during boarding. Marcy just smiled softly. I had to. Sometimes life teaches you through your worst moments. The plane doors closed. The engines rumbled. Takeoff began. Once in the air, the flight seemed smooth, calm skies, polite passengers, soft chatter. But halfway through, turbulence hit hard. Oxygen masks shook in their holders. Passengers gasped. A mother screamed for her child. Marcy gripped the seat for balance, but forced herself to stay calm. She walked the aisle, comforting people, checking belts, speaking gently over the rising panic. "Everyone stay seated. We're going to be fine," she said, steady voice cutting through the chaos. After a few tense minutes, the turbulence eased. Relief filled the cabin. But as Marcy checked row by row, she noticed a woman clutching her chest near the back, pale, gasping for air. "Ma'am? Are you okay?" Marcy knelt beside her. No response, only shallow breaths. The woman's husband looked terrified. She has a heart condition. Her meds are in our bag, but I can't find them." Marcy's instincts kicked in. She alerted the captain, then grabbed the first aid kit and oxygen. But when she turned back, another flight attendant hesitated nearby, whispering, "She's not breathing right. We need help." Marcy called out, "Is there a doctor on board?" Silence. Then a man stood, young, African-American, wearing a navy blue suit. "I'm a cardiologist," he said, hurrying over. Marcy's eyes widened. For a second, her heart stopped because she recognized him instantly. It was Ethan, Danielle's husband, the man she once humiliated. He looked at her, recognition flashing briefly, then fading. There was no anger in his eyes, only urgency. "I need space," he said firmly, setting down his jacket. Marcy moved aside, helping him spread the woman onto the aisle floor. He worked quickly, giving oxygen, checking pulse, applying gentle chest compressions. "Pulse is weak," Ethan muttered, focused. Marcy handed him the emergency medical kit. Her hands trembled, not from fear of the situation, but from the weight of fate. Here she was again, side by side with the same man whose wife had shown her mercy. And now he was saving someone's life in front of her. When the woman finally stabilized, everyone around them clapped softly, relieved, tears flowing. Ethan sat back, exhausted but calm. Marcy whispered, "Thank you, doctor. You saved her." He looked up at her then, really seeing her. His expression softened. "No," he said quietly, "we both did." That line hit her hard. She turned away for a moment, swallowing emotion. After the incident, the flight settled again. The captain announced they'd make an emergency landing in Denver so the woman could get medical care. As the plane descended, Marcy went around checking passengers. Ethan was seated now, typing something on his tablet. She hesitated, then approached him quietly. "Mr. Williams, I don't know if you remember me." He looked up with a faint smile. "I do." Marcy's throat tightened. "I just wanted to say, I still think about what happened. I'm sorry for everything. I never deserved the grace your wife gave me." Ethan closed his tablet. "Marcy," he said slowly, "you learned from it. That's what matters. People make mistakes, but staying the same is the real failure." She blinked fast, holding back tears. "She changed my life. Both of you did." Ethan nodded gently. "Then honor that by doing the same for others." His words sank deep. When the plane landed, medical personnel came on board. The woman was safely taken out on a stretcher, still conscious, her husband thanking Ethan and the crew repeatedly. Marcy stood near the door as passengers deboarded. A few smiled at her, thanking her for keeping them calm. One even said, "You were amazing back there." For the first time in years, Marcy felt peace. Not pride, peace. After everyone left, Ethan came to the front of the plane. "Take care, Marcy," he said warmly. "And thank you for staying calm when it mattered." She nodded. "Safe travels, doctor." As he left, she glanced out the cabin window. Danielle was standing at the terminal, waiting for him, holding their baby. Ethan walked over, kissed his wife, then pointed subtly toward the plane. Danielle followed his gaze and saw Marcy. Their eyes met across the glass. Danielle smiled, a simple, knowing smile, and mouthed, "Thank you." Marcy's eyes watered. She mouthed back, "No, thank you." Later that night, after the flight, Marcy sat on her small apartment balcony, city lights twinkling below. She thought about everything that had happened, from the day she mocked that pregnant woman to now, saving someone's life alongside her husband. She took out her old apology letter, the one she never sent, and she added one final line at the bottom. "Redemption isn't about erasing your past. It's about what you do after it breaks you." She folded the letter carefully, placed it in a drawer, and whispered, "I think I finally understand." Weeks later, during a company meeting, Ethan quietly announced a new initiative, an empathy training program for all flight attendants, designed to teach patience, respect, and compassion. He didn't mention names, but everyone knew who had inspired it. Marcy was asked to help lead it. She hesitated at first, but eventually agreed. The program became one of the airline's most praised changes. At the first training session, she stood before a group of new recruits and began her speech. "My name is Marcy. I've been a flight attendant for 15 years. And I've made mistakes, big ones. But those mistakes taught me something no manual could ever teach." She looked around the room, faces listening closely. You never know what someone's carrying. Sometimes the person who seems small, tired, or out of place might be stronger than anyone else on that plane. Or they might just need a little kindness to hold it together. Either way, you don't lose anything by being human. The room went silent for a moment, then applause filled it. As Marcy smiled, she felt that peace again, deeper this time. Not the peace of escaping punishment, but the peace of truly changing. Months passed, and one day, after a long flight, she returned to her seat in the empty cabin, exhausted but content. A message notification pinged on her phone. She opened it. It was an email. From Danielle Williams. Subject: gratitude. It read, "Marcy, Ethan told me about the flight to Denver. You helped save a life. I just wanted to say I'm proud of you. You became exactly who I hoped you'd be. A reminder that kindness can rewrite even the ugliest chapters. Thank you for proving that forgiveness was worth it." Tears filled Marcy's eyes. She stared out at the quiet runway, whispering softly to herself, "No, Danielle, thank you for teaching me how to fly again." And with that, she smiled through her tears, a woman no longer chained by her past, but guided by it. Sometimes the people we wrong are the very ones sent to remind us of who we're meant to be. Mercy doesn't erase mistakes, it transforms them into lessons. And true redemption isn't about the world forgiving you. It's about forgiving yourself enough to live differently. A year later, the world had moved on. Flights came and went. Passengers laughed, complained, slept through turbulence. Airports stayed busy, always alive. But for Marcy, the world felt different now. She was no longer rushing through her shifts or checking her reflection in the mirror to make sure she looked perfect. She had learned to listen more, care deeper, and carry herself with quiet grace. Her coworkers admired her. Management trusted her. And passengers, they remembered her kindness. The once controversial flight attendant, who had almost lost everything, had now become the heart of the airline's culture. But deep down, she still carried a single wish: to see Danielle again, not just to thank her, but to show her in person that her forgiveness had not gone to waste. It was a calm Sunday morning when Marcy received a message from her manager. She had been selected to serve in the first-class cabin for a private charter flight. A short domestic route, Los Angeles to Seattle, but with special VIP passengers. Marcy smiled. She liked those flights. Quiet, intimate, easy to manage. When she got to the gate, she noticed the aircraft, sleek, polished, different. The airline's logo gleamed proudly on its side. Something about it felt familiar. As she boarded, the pilot greeted her with a grin. "You got lucky today. Easiest shift of the week." Marcy laughed. "I'll take that." She began her routine, checking seats, arranging service trays, making sure everything looked perfect. Then the passengers started boarding. First came a few business people, polite, quiet. Then a woman with a baby stroller, followed by a man carrying a diaper bag. Marcy froze. Her breath caught in her throat. It was Danielle, and behind her, Ethan. For a second, time stopped. Danielle looked radiant, healthy, glowing, her baby now around 1 year old. Ethan walked behind her, smiling at something the child babbled. Marcy felt her pulse quicken. She wasn't sure if she should speak or stay quiet. But Danielle saw her immediately and smiled warmly, as if seeing an old friend. "Marcy," she said softly. Marcy nodded, voice trembling. "Yes, hi, Mrs. Williams." Danielle stepped closer, her tone gentle. "Just Danielle, please." Ethan smiled too. "Good to see you again, Marcy." Marcy took a shaky breath. "You too." I didn't expect." Danielle laughed softly. "We like to surprise people." They all chuckled lightly. But beneath the laughter was a quiet current of emotion. Danielle adjusted her baby's blanket. "This is Ava. I wanted you to meet her." Marcy leaned closer, tears filling her eyes as she smiled at the little girl. "She's beautiful." "Thank you," Danielle said. "She was born a few weeks after that flight." Marcy's voice softened. "I'm so glad everything went well." Ethan nodded. "It did. And we're glad you're still here." She blinked. "You mean working?" Yes, Danielle said, smiling. Still here. Still you. Changed, but still you. Marcy's lips trembled. I don't even know what to say. You both changed my life. I'm not the same person you met that day. Danielle nodded slowly. That's the point, Marcy. That's what grace does. During the flight, Marcy served them quietly but kindly. She chatted with Danielle about motherhood, shared laughs with Ethan about airline coffee, and played peekaboo with little Ava. It was peaceful, so ordinary yet so meaningful. Halfway through the flight, Danielle noticed Marcy staring out the window during a break, lost in thought. She walked up to her. You're thinking about that day again, aren't you? Marcy smiled faintly. Every day. It changed everything. Danielle nodded. For me too. You know, when that happened, I was angry at first. I cried the whole night, but something told me not to fight back with anger, to do something different, to give the grace I once needed from others. She paused. Now I know why. It wasn't just to help me heal, it was so you could heal too. Marcy's eyes glistened. You'll never know how much that forgiveness saved me. Danielle placed a hand on her arm. Maybe I don't have to. I can see it in who you've become. When they landed in Seattle, the passengers disembarked quietly. Marcy stood at the exit as always, saying goodbye with a smile. But when Danielle and Ethan reached her, Danielle stopped. She held Marcy's hand gently and said, Thank you for serving us today. Not as a worker, but as someone who made me proud to forgive. Marcy's tears finally fell. And thank you for teaching me that kindness isn't weakness, it's power. Danielle smiled, handing her a small envelope. For you. Open it later. They hugged briefly, warm and genuine. Then the family left. That evening, Marcy sat alone again, same balcony, same city lights. She opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a handwritten letter. It read, Marcy, we wanted to thank you for the grace you've shown, not only to us but to everyone since. You've become a living reminder that people can change, and that second chances can rewrite entire lives. Inside this envelope, you'll also find a boarding pass, not for work but for rest. It's a round-trip ticket anywhere you'd like to go. Take it. See the world. You've spent years helping people get to their destinations. Maybe it's time you find your own. With gratitude, Ethan and Danielle Williams. A tear dropped onto the paper as Marcy smiled. Inside the envelope was a first-class ticket with her name on it. Destination, Hawaii. Weeks later, Marcy stood barefoot on a Hawaiian beach, watching the sunset melt into the ocean. The air smelled of salt and peace. She looked out at the horizon, whispering softly, full circle. For the first time in years, she wasn't running from her past. She was walking into her future. She took out her phone, typed a message, and smiled. It was a note to herself, a new promise. Never assume. Never judge. And never forget, grace can save more than a job. It can save a soul. Did you catch these lessons? Judging someone by their appearance, skin color, or what they own is a form of blindness. True vision isn't about what meets the eye. It's about seeing the humanity in others, recognizing their struggles, and treating them with respect. Forgiveness isn't a weakness, it's freedom. It frees both the giver and the receiver. Kindness may not change the world overnight, but it can change one life. And sometimes that one change is enough to start a ripple that touches more than we realize. The woman who once mocked another's pain became living proof that redemption is real. Redemption doesn't come from headlines or grand gestures, but through quiet, consistent acts of care, empathy, and understanding. And somewhere in the sky, under the same airline logo that once symbolized her mistakes and failures, she flew again, not as a flight attendant weighed down by shame, but as a woman finally proud of who she had become. Each act, each choice, had rewritten her story and shown that growth and transformation are always possible.